For the third time, Wardlow is the TNT Champion. And I'm sure we all have a lot to say about him becoming champion, Hobbs' short run, and just the TNT Championship in general. So we will get into it. What's up, people? My name is Mekz. I'm a wrestling fan, wrestling enthusiast, WrestleManiac, if you will. And you're tuned into Revolution Radio, and I'm alongside a co-host.
Yo, people, it's your boy NK, aka the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. You know, happy to be here, man.
Yeah, man. It was I feel like just 2 weeks ago we was just saying how hyped this show was, and then last week was all right, and then this week it was just a bit middle of the road. Like, it's beginning to feel like we're a couple weeks out from the pay-per-view. What do we do to kind of extend stories and try to start setting things up and at the same time drop the ball on some things?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like I thought at Revolution we complained that there wasn't like a consistent build, and with this one it's like I could see this episode they were trying things and there's a build. Like I could see stuff happening. It's more execution rather than like lack of like there's stuff there to talk about, but it's just the execution on a lot of things left a lot to be desired. Rather with Revolution there wasn't much going on until the end, but this one was just like execution was weird on a lot of things.
It's funny because I was thinking, I watched the show. I never look at spoilers or anything like that. I avoid them until I finish watching. Then I head to social media, see the general feel. I go to our group chat, our Discord, and see what people are saying. And obviously the general response to that last night's show was pretty poor. And I was thinking, what has been a good common denominator that makes the show, pretty good, something we can look forward to every week? And the one thing I found is that there was no Orange Cassidy this week. There was no defense of the international title. There was that, so that already kind of took away the stable, not necessarily banger match, but the just very good match that we get on TV every week that we've come to expect. And then from there, I don't know, just some of the parts, there was good segments, but there were few and far in between, and the wrestling wasn't really captivating.
Stand out.
It was a bit of a funny one. But as we do, we'll split this show down into our segments, starting off with the first one today. So for you guys, hit the subscribe, hit the like button. Let's get into it. We'll start off with MVP of Dynamite. So I mean, you started last week. I'll start with this one. I felt like this week, especially last few weeks, there's been a couple of options for this particular choice. And this week, it felt like real slim pickings. So I'll say mine, but even that, it's slim. And my MVP of the week was Sammy Guevara. I felt like the opening segment where 3 of the 4 pillars are in the ring wasn't as strong as previous weeks. I felt maybe they were given too long to talk. And they kind of waffling. I think a lot of all of them, to be fair, probably put their characters in a bit of jeopardy. With like Darby Allin was calling out Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy was then calling out Darby Allin, saying, "Oh, you're not a cool guy backstage. You don't speak to no one. This, that, and the other." Some of them then Darby was saying, "I actually like you, Sammy. You're real. This is who you are." Blah blah blah. And I'm just thinking, in terms of who you want us to believe these characters are, you're kind of like mixing things a bit. Like, you're saying some of the faces are telling each other, you've got prickish tendencies. And then the faces are telling the heels, you're not that bad after all. Darby was good. I think Darby was the best in his delivery of his promo, but I feel like maybe Sammy was consistently good. What put me off Darby was when MJF gave him the Bly into the
buy-in.
Yeah, and he went like, he was like, woohoo! He done something like that, and I'm thinking, nah, that if like, no one's ever given me the ick before, that was ickish. that was real ickish, because like, especially Darby, he's the underdog baby face, like he does mad things to himself to get wins and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought him kind of celebrating like that, like whether he meant it like sarcastically or whatever, like I just thought, I don't know. So Sammy Guevara for me, with the performance in the promo segment, with his performance in the main event as well, and his performance in the middle of the show when MJF tried to buy him or did buy him, and then he really kind of healed it up with their friendship and all of that kind of stuff, I thought was quite amusing. So yeah, Sammy Guevara for me was the MVP of the week.
I didn't have an MVP of the week, I can't lie, but I feel like out of everyone, it's kind of Sammy. I feel like that segment, again, what I said earlier, I saw what they were trying to do. They were trying to inject some heat between all three guys, because I still feel like, by the way, I still feel like we're going to get the 4-way, especially with the finish of the main event. I still feel like we're going to get. I still feel like we're going to get the 4-way, but I felt like, okay, everyone has a reason to dislike MJF now, and let's create some tension between these guys. I just felt like what they said could have worked, but the execution, maybe the format was weird. What I would have preferred, in fact, instead of like an open mic promo segment, maybe a backstage segment with kind of like what Jim Ross used to do back in the day, and he's done it sometimes in AEW, like with Adam Cole, where he'll sit everyone down, sit down, chat, everyone say your piece, and then the conversation naturally goes there. I feel like what these guys are saying isn't like, a crowd's not gonna boo or cheer that. These are things that are best left for like a sit down talk where, okay, tell us how you really feel. Let's unpeel the curtain a bit. How do you really feel about these man? And then a segment like that would work. But yeah, I guess Sammy was like, I thought Sammy was okay. I thought Darby, that's probably the weakest Darby promo we've had in the last 2 weeks.
You reckon?
In my opinion.
In the last 2 weeks, definitely.
In the last 2 weeks, yeah. I think he was stuttering over his words. I feel like it was a lot of time. I understood the segment had a reason to it, and it progressed the story. It, granted, the execution was bad, but it progressed the story. So I'm not too mad at it. Like, it wasn't a useless segment. I just thought, like, execution wise, yeah, it was weird. It was awkward. The word is awkward.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was like rubbish. I just think that yeah, it just wasn't as good as what we've previously seen.
Yeah, I feel like the feud's been very consistent. Like, a lot of the last, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks has been pretty much gold, and then this is kind of the first time they've kind of like dipped a little bit. But yeah, what is set up in the main event and what is setting up going to Double or Nothing is interesting. It's still do you know what it is? It's still MJF doing you have to fight people to get to me, but
yeah,
there's a but it's a twist, and yeah, it I don't know. It's a more interesting way than fight this random person. It's more like we all have a stake to the title. Let's see who's gonna face him, and it feels a lot more organic. Yeah,
I'm just thinking, like, could they have done something like a triple threat? You know, a triple threat, and then the winner of that faces me or whatever. But like we're saying, they're probably still filling time. I, like yourself, still believe we're getting to this 4-way somehow. MJF continuously keeps egging it on and telling the camera directly, you thought you were going to get a 4-way. You thought you were going to get a 4-way. And it's like, we're going to get a 4-way, aren't we? Because you're harping on about it so much. But yeah, I think the overall segment, and then obviously had a nice through line. I like when you kind of start the show like this, and it kind of goes into the middle of the show and then goes towards the end of the show, and we're telling that same story. It's just, I feel you could tell out of these pillars, MJF has been in the middle of these segments with them, and he probably, now you can see he's the glue And Kenta's
Yeah,
just
that holds it
keeps
all
going,
together.
that holds it all together exactly. It just keeps it going, moving along swimmingly. So, yeah, they struggled a bit without him, and yeah, it was a bit harder to watch, but still productive. You said you didn't have an MVP.
So I guess I'll pick Sammy Guevara out of the bunch, but like I don't have anyone. Nobody really like stood out in the show and was like wow for me. So yes, it's a strange one. It's a strange one.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel like the show. I like I said, I was clutching at straws and
Yeah,
who could it be? So yeah, Sammy got my vote. Cool. All right, we'll move on to the match of the night. And again, I don't feel like there was like the usual like banger to choose from, TV banger at least, you know, a little 3.5, 4-star. Like there was some good action here and there throughout the card. NK, do you want to go first as to what your match of the night was?
I thought there were two picks that stood out to me. None of these matches were like oh my god, like compared to the matches we've had with Orange Cassidy or even Jamie Hayter in the past. But I would say Jay White versus Commander. That was a fun. It was a fun match. It was a fun, tidy match. I didn't really like, I keep calling him tired Sean Spears. I didn't really like the Sean Spears interference at the end. I thought it was very random, and it's like Jay White's above this. But the match with Commander was a good match. Commander got to showcase himself a lot, and it kind of it was a good showcase for Jay White in terms of like this is what Jay White is. He's a wrestler that picks his opportunities, picks his moments, and I'm interested in Jay White versus Ricky Starks. But I feel like if you want to do that feud, not remove the Bullet Club from it, but just have them two talk to each other. I feel like there's money in these two cutting promos together. But then when you're trying to involve it in like a faction war storyline, I feel like it's not a good use of both of these guys' talents, which are character work. So I feel like this feud, I'm not gonna rubbish the feud yet, but I feel like it needs to go in a direction where it's just the spotlight is on Jay White and on Ricky Starks. I feel like those two interacting and clashing is a lot more interesting than Jay White and Juice versus, I guess, Ricky Starks and Sean Spears and somebody else. Like I'm not in the mood for all of that. But in regards to the match itself, yeah, Jay White and Commander was a fun little match. Nothing overly special, but it was like it was calm. I was very entertained. So yeah, I probably say that's my match of the night.
Yeah, a lot of people have given that match a lot of stick today because of things like it's the usual stuff like, oh, why is he waiting to do a spot, and the lucha style and all of that stuff. Go on.
I have a rant. Here's the thing, yeah. Okay, I know it's fun to call the oh my god spot fest, but here's the thing: luchadors are gonna luchador. That is what lucha libre is. That's what they do. If you don't like lucha libre, that's fine. But if you've got historically lucha libre matches are that they're heavily relaxed, and I even push back against that because I remember there was a spot that Jay White did. Well, Commander was on like I say the left hand side of the rope, and he wanted to do traditional running the rope spot and then tope off the top. Jay White came back into the ring, and then Commander threw him out again, and then Jay White sold himself into position. But I feel like we have to be careful. Obviously, if you don't like lucha libre and you prefer more technical grounded wrestling, that's fine. But we can't now I want gentrified lucha libre where man them are doing 10 technical holds. That's what lucha libre is. It's flamboyant acrobatic wrestling. Like that's what it is. And you can't tell a luchador from Mexico who got his style from Mexico to water it down and gentrify his product for you, man. That's what lucha libre is. If you don't like it, you don't like lucha libre. It's calm. You have to like everything. But please, I'm tired of this sanitized lucha libre that people are trying to push onto the public. It's lucha. It's like me telling it's like me telling Shabbat, I beg you don't forearm him quickly. Don't forearm these man. Like strong style, like make it a bit nicer. Trust me.
I think the complaint seems to be more of the waiting and pausing and waiting for spots. At the same time, people want to encourage safe wrestling and making sure they're caught at spots and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a funny one because you can see when he might jump to the top rope. He's got Jay White's arm. He's waiting to catch his balance before he does the maneuver. But do you want him to slip and fall in between? Like, you see what I mean? So
because these are the same people that will be like on Twitter, oh, look at the unsafe spot here, Botchamania clip 57. Like, make up your mind. Like, don't get me wrong. I feel like there is a way to sell yourself into position, but with especially a guy like Commander or Vikingo, where a lot of their moves are very probably unpredictable to a lot of this roster, it's like safety is paramount. Maybe a couple years down the line when these guys wrestle longer, they can find their balance with these stuffs. But hey, man, listen, I beg, people love to complain about everything. So at this point, I don't give a monkeys.
Yeah, it was a decent match. It was good on the night.
Yeah.
With the Sean Spears stuff you touched on, so he returned on Rampage. I don't know if you saw that. He returned.
I didn't see that.
He returned on Rampage. Obviously, he's been off because him and his missus had a kid, and so he come back. He had the match against Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy won the match. Jungle Boy, there was like a sign of respect at the end of the match between the two. So now he's just literally found himself into this feud some way, somehow. I was even saying with the whole 10 gimmick, he was doing all the 10 stuff on Friday, and I'm thinking, isn't this WWE's gimmick ultimately? Like, I have to be doing this, but yeah, he's still doing it. I mean, I don't mind Sean Spears. I just think, again, like you're saying, this shouldn't be here in this particular thing.
No.
I was thinking about Ricky Starks coming down, after this match, and I thought, like, after he had his attempt at the title against MJF, and then from there he went into the Chris Jericho feud, which lasted too long, but he's still being treated right. Like, him facing Jay White it's not an issue. Like, it's a good feud. I think it's a very good starting feud for Jay White. My issue remains, I guess, the way they've started it. And I think, like you said a couple of weeks ago, they clearly just shoehorned Jay White into just coming on TV as soon as possible.
Yeah.
That's where I think the error has been made, and people might have reservations. If, the Juice Robinson thing was dead and done, and it's like Juice was like, oh, I'm going to call someone for you to, to mess you up and all that kind of stuff. And the big reveal was Jay White. And then we know, right, we got a Jay White and Ricky Pro, what do you call it? A feud starting here. I feel like the reception would have been a lot better, because it's like, Jay White's a big deal. You're bringing him in as a big deal. And Ricky, you're obviously trying to maintain his status up there on the card. But yeah, I'm optimistic that that's the direction that they're going now. I think it's just how they started it. It's just like,
I feel like going back, I feel like Jay White should have come in like in New Japan. He's like, I remember for Forbidden Door, he's like, I'm the catalyst of AEW. That should be the angle, even with Ricky Starks. I'm the catalyst of AEW. I'm the reason you should pay respects to me. I'm the reason why you have a job. I'm this, I'm that. Like, you like, you're beneath me. All of this type of stuff. He should be like, I feel like the fact that we haven't had Jay White speak or say anything, and I'm not saying he should have come out like Jericho in WWE where he cuts a promo in the middle of the rap. Not that, but I feel like that at some point in time, Jay White, like, obviously he's been here before, but now you're fully in the AEW roster. What do you want? Like, who are you? Like, what are your intentions? What are your goals? I feel like Jay White needs to say that. And it could be just a video package. It could be, or just a promo segment with Ricky Starks, but utilize these guys to their strengths. I feel like as much as we talk about how good Ricky Starks is as a promo, the opportunities he gets to actually speak on the mic are very few and far between. And I feel like a feud like this would be a great utilization of his time, where him and Jay White can go back. Both of these are very good characters, very good characters. And Juice Robinson can still be there, but I feel like the focus needs to be Ricky and Jay White. And then obviously Juice Robinson will interfere like the heel does, distracts Ricky Starks here and there. But yeah, I just feel, I don't know, man. I don't like the way this feud has started, but like, I don't mind the pairing. The pairing isn't the issue. Again, like I said before, it's just execution. I feel like there's a lot of good idea, bad execution going on.
Yeah, like you just said, I'm now kind of confident, you know, especially we're going to Double or Nothing. We're probably about 3 weeks out from Double or Nothing. These two probably will have a very strong, you know, promo segment somewhere in the next 3 weeks. So I'm looking forward to it. It's just literally the way they brought in my man, the way they brought in Jay White. Like, make a bigger deal about this guy. Like, just bringing him in or whatever the case may be, and then, you know, it makes Ricky Starks feel more special as well, because you're the first guy that's getting a goal at this guy, and now he's fully in AEW. So yeah, it's just that rush of bringing him in that might have maybe costed people's initial interest, but I'm sure it will pick up. Match of the night. My match of the night, I'm actually going to go with the women's tag match.
Okay.
Britt Baker, obviously in her hometown, so large pops and everything for her in Pittsburgh. Her and Jamie Hayter took on Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. They were given time, which is nice to see. The women were given time, and, you know, they done a really good job. Just Jamie Hayter absorbing all the heat, sort of thing, just ready for that hot tag for Britt. And Saraya was playing her part on the outside as well, you know, doing some dastardly things as well to get heat on them lot. Yeah, it wasn't the kind of segment we've been kind of poo-pooing for the last few weeks, but I just thought letting these ladies just finally go at it is good. I mean, it brings me to my next point of, okay, they've done this now. Britt and Hayter have won. For sure, they're going to continue beefing. I mean, on the night, we saw them continue beefing within the Adam Cole, Chris Jericho segment. So don't really know what the end goal may be for them after this. But the match was good. The little angle they put in there to write off Hayter so that Hayter couldn't come out and help Britt during that Jericho segment was also good. Yeah, they've somewhat, it wasn't a promo segment, but they've somewhat turned it around this week, the women, in my opinion.
Yeah, the match was good. I thought you were gonna go for Jungle Boy and Sammy Guevara, but
you know what? It was my first choice, but something shocked me as literally that match was happening. Well, the ending, they done a count out victory in the main event, and I had to double take and make sure I wasn't watching WWE. Because I was thinking, AEW don't usually do this. Now, I understand because of, you know, the angle, the story they're telling, why they did it. So I don't even have an issue with it. But I just thought, this is very, I didn't know how to feel at the time when I watched it. It's very like out of character from AEW. So yeah, I didn't commit to making it match of the night, even though it was a good
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I feel like the women's match was a really good match. Obviously, Britt in Pittsburgh was just I like the whole towel thing. I don't get it, but I like it.
I keep telling myself I need to look into it, but
I don't get it. It's a pitch, but like, it's a cool visual. And like, just to see Britt wrestling again, because she hasn't been wrestling consistently, but just to see her wrestle again. I thought it was a really good match. It was a solid match. Like, I feel like I said, the Outcasts, like, as wrestlers, I can't fault them. Like, they're Ruby Soho's good.
Toni Storm is I was watching her last night. I was thinking, you are so good.
She's amazing, man. Like, just Toni Storm is chef's kiss. Like, I want to see her get the title back at some point again. Now, maybe not anytime soon, but I see her being a multiple time champion. So yeah, Toni Storm, the Outcast versus Britt and Jamie Hayter. Yeah, good match, very good match.
Yeah, I think they done a good job. They showed out last night, the women, as much as they could. Like I say, it's just literally we've seen this now. We've almost seen this, and we've seen the successor of this, where we're gonna go from here. But sure, we're gonna have more of it in the next few weeks. Cool. So let's move on to the best Dynamite segment. Again, I think it was slim pickings, but I would say there was probably about 2 or so that was head and shoulders above the rest. I'm gonna go with the Elite segment.
Yeah, that was mine too.
Yeah, I thought this was very, very well done. Obviously the Elite come down to the ring. Kenny cuts a promo just basically saying, look, done the nonsense, done the BS. You man, come out here. Let's settle this. You know, I think he was implying we'll talk it out, sort of thing, innit? Let's do that. Danielson comes on the screen. Danielson works as the distraction. The BCC guys run from behind and beat up the Elite and get the upper hand. And Danielson then comes out and Danielson threatens with the screwdriver again. Some very choice words as he kind of put over Kenny Omega, saying, "Kenny, of all people, I thought that you were a professional. I thought, you know, the Young Bucks are amateurs. I didn't think you were an amateur as well. Maybe you are an amateur." Brings out the screwdriver to obviously do damage. I think at this point is when we saw Don Callis run out the first time.
Yeah, with a chair.
And then Danielson turned and like, what's my man on, sort of thing. And then you see Don Callis running back. And you know what? It's so funny because he's the role he's playing is he's coming to help, but he was running like a crazy, like a cartoon character. Like, it's not for him, innit? He's not used to fighting battles and all that kind of stuff. He runs to the back. I think the beatdown continues a bit, and then Don Callis re-emerges with Takeshita. And even Takeshita, he literally seems like he probably just grabbed him out of Gorilla, the first person he saw. And Takeshita really sells the fact of, you know, I don't really know what's going on here, but, you know, let me help out, sort of thing. And obviously we're literally, you know, a matter of weeks removed from that. Was it Takeshita helping Danielson in that MJF feud? Yeah. So like, and now all of a sudden the coins turned and Takeshita's against Danielson, and Danielson sells that pretty well, like a bit perplexed, like, what are you doing? Why are you getting involved? And then Takeshita helps to clean house, and the last image we're left with is Don Callis in the middle of Takeshita and Kenny Omega, like holding both hands aloft, like this is almost what he wanted in bringing Takeshita into the Elite somewhat, and maybe distracting Kenny Omega with, you know, I've got this guy, we don't need to worry about the likes of Hangman. Like, I'm still trying to figure out in my head what does this all mean and why Takeshita. And I'm not sure, like, I still don't trust Don Callis. No. And I don't know his motivations. And I feel there's something more in maybe Takeshita and Don Callis going over to BCC. But I haven't quite worked out if there's any kind of story there. But yeah, that's where I'm going with it. But I enjoyed the segment. Yeah. What did you think of it?
I thought the segment was excellent. Absolutely excellent. Just Kenny, the seriousness from Kenny. Like, and Kenny's a good promo now. Like, he's actually like it's weird because like Kenny's never been like, I'm never gonna put him on the level of like a Moxie or Park, but like he's a good promo. Like the promo was convincing. It was but seeing Don Callis come up with Takeshita is very interesting. And also there was a clip on BTE that I don't know if it was probably BTE this week's on Monday, where it was like the Dark Order, they were with the Elite, and then the Young Bucks were at the Dark Order. Oh, where were you guys for Hangman? And then Kenny Omega says, none of us are friends with Hangman. No one likes Hangman. And what I think is going to
Didn't Matt Jackson say I do, like, or something like that?
Yes, Matt Jackson said I do, yeah. And then what I think this is leading to is like the Young Bucks picking Hangman Page, and then Kenny not being okay with it, and then Don Callis kind of, I think the Elite are gonna split apart. And like, I don't think we're gonna get like the full Elite reunion. The reunion we're gonna get are the Hung Bucks, like Hangman Page and the Bucks. I feel like them lot are gonna be a thing. Kenny's obviously the rumors of Ibushi, and then Ibushi, Omega, Takeshita, the DDT boys. They all went. They were all in DDT together. Oh, damn. I just feel like like. And then obviously they've had a few matches in DDT, and I think Kenny's the reason like in that Takeshita's in AEW. I think so what I love about this storyline is that like we have our expectations about Hangman's gonna come for the save, but each week they're adding a new wrinkle to the story, but it doesn't feel like they're stalling. it just feels like the story is, you know, adding another element and layer, but it doesn't feel like, oh, you're wasting time. Let's get to the good part. It's like each week something new's happening.
Yeah,
And I can't lie, the brawl was chaotic, but it was good. Like these men can brawl.
The brawl was brawling.
The brawl was brawling. Like it's like, I can't believe there was a part where I think Claudio picked up Nick Jackson. And he just picked up like he was a baby. And then when Kester came with the blue thunder bomb, I was like, this is
that was cold.
Again, I feel like this is it's the best story in AEW right now, and it's like I'm at this point. Obviously, I have my predictions, but at this point, week to week, I'm just interested to see where the story goes next because there's so many moving pieces. Like you don't know what Hangman's gonna do, you don't know what Don Callis is gonna do. What do even with Danielson saying what he said to Omega, is that are we gonna get an Omega Danielson match? Because there's a lot of respect between the two. Like there are so many different ways and places this feud can go. So that was kind of my segment of the week as well.
I think the Danielson stuff, just to add in on what you said, the Danielson is respecting Omega in a way that the match may not come yet, but they're just laying foundation.
They're laying the foundations.
That, you know, we still got to kind of sort this between the two of us and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
You raised a fantastic point about the kind of the splintering off into the two trios and stuff. Because I'm still thinking the destination may be Blood and Guts. So I'm thinking, what are we doing at Double or Nothing? And then where does Blood and Guts comes after that? So like, what's going to happen in between? But because I'm still thinking we're getting a team of maybe the BCC, so there's 4 of them, plus Takeshita, 5. And then we get the Young Bucks, Omega, Hangman, and then Ibushi. So that's your 5-on-5 for Blood and Guts. But yeah, it's interesting that at least they've got avenues to go. You see what I mean?
Also, you mentioned on that maybe we get the Danielson Omega match later on in the year. Would you be happy with that match at All In?
I mean, I think so. It's one of them ones you're gonna be in the crowd, so you're just gonna absorb whatever in it.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would, as if they tell a good story, get in there. And I still don't know. Like I was trying to work this out the other day. Is AEW's version, because we have to remember this ain't the Young Bucks and Cody, is AEW's version of All In. Is it still gonna be a celebration of indie wrestling? Are we calling in the imports, or is this just gonna be an AEW pay-per-view on like a big scale? I'm still kind of working out what to expect.
I feel like mostly I'm expecting an AEW pay-per-view featuring small people here and
with
there.
a couple imports.
With a couple imports sprinkled. Like I don't expect to see like I don't expect to see like really like the guys who are like indie darlings, like who are just on the independents. I don't expect to see them, but I expect to see obviously New Japan stars, people they have working relationships with. I expect to see that, but most of the focus will still probably be on AEW talent and maybe New Japan and maybe Ring of Honor is AEW, but Ring of Honor. But
yeah. No, that makes sense. Cool. Best segment. What you said your best segment as well was
it was probably this. I don't see anything else that really like stands out as like the best segment.
I'll give it honorable mention. My honorable mention is the Adam Cole and the Chris Jericho one. You didn't like that?
I'm gonna talk about that segment.
Okay, talk about it. So I liked, the fact Adam Cole basically, it started. I'm giving my man his flowers, and I was into him as a kid and all that kind of stuff. And Chris Jericho obviously took the adoration, but then flipped it on him straight away. Chris Jericho with the crowd control, saying that don't call me a jag off, and obviously everyone starts chanting jag off. I feel like now that I'm saying it, maybe the segment wasn't that good, but I'm invested in where they're going. Like I think it's a very good pairing. I was watching the show, I thought, Adam Cole and Jay White as an initial pairing in terms of Jay White's first feud in AEW. Adam Cole basically being reintroduced to the crowd because he's been injured for so long. Like that would have been flames, to be fair. But I think Chris Jericho and Adam Cole, like I'm definitely invested. I wasn't happy when Britt came out to make the save. That's one thing I'd say. Like I'm thinking, do we want to kind of do this couple thing? Like that's the one thing I'd say I'm not too happy about. But other than that, I think I'm just kind of optimistic as to seeing Chris Jericho and Adam Cole.
I hated that segment. I hated it. Like that was. I don't know if we're gonna move on, but that was my pick for worst segment. That was.
Oh, swear.
That's my.
No, they'll talk about it then. Go for it.
That's my pick for worst segment. I thought the beginning part was fine. When and they say even the Outcast, when the Outcast came out and started beating Britt Baker, and Adam Cole was like, "No, Britt, no."
Yeah,
it was the WWE melodrama that I despise. It was the over dramatic, bad acting. No, Britt, no, and I was like, end it now, and it just felt awkward. It ended on a flat note, and it's like I was looking at it, I was like, nah, you man are better than this. Like you man are like, if the segment continued the way it started, no problem.
Yeah.
Even Britt's involvement, I don't have an issue, but okay, cool, fine. It was just the Kendo. It's the Kendo. Like, come on, you've seen your Adam Cole. Respectfully, you've been in AEW. You've seen your woman take thumbtacks to the back, and you're crying about simple Kendo stick. Yeah. Like, come on, G. Like, no, honestly, I know they won't have the balls to do this, but if it was a Randy Orton Triple H thing where Chris Jericho gave a Judas effect, I know they're not gonna do it because politics. I understand, but if it was that,
yeah.
Something solid. Something solid. But it's like, or even if they gave Britt Baker a concerto, just something. Yeah. It's just simple kendo stick. Just not like, I was like, brother, like.
I think even like you're saying, and again, they probably wouldn't do it, but Chris Jericho was the one that was going to hit Adam Cole with the kendo stick. Yeah. Chris Jericho should have been the one to flog Britt Baker with the kendo stick. At 100%. Least then we're getting to some level of this is mad. Like
this is like, what is Chris? I'm saying shock factor. It's like, what is Chris Jericho doing? Like, is he? And then afterwards, let's say Britt fights. If you want to involve the Outcast, fine. Have him flog her with the kendo stick, and then maybe have the Outcast power bomber for a table or something. Just do something. Just hitting Britt with simple kendo stick, I'm like, she'll be all right, man. She doesn't need medical attention after this. She'll be all right. Just one ice pack, a body key. She'll be okay, fam. She'll be okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. That was a letdown for me. Like I want to see. Yeah, I don't want to see these two together on screen unless they're gonna do heel power couple,
yes,
which I think they would absolutely smash. But I don't need, like, it's not to say he face Adam Cole is bad, but we just know his best work is as a heel. Yeah, trying to kind of really make him lovable with him watching his missus get beaten up. It's WWE. It's bordering.
It's WWE. I don't like it. It's the melodrama nonsense that I don't want in my wrestling.
Yeah.
No, if you're gonna do sympathy tax, do it properly. Like, make me say, do you know what? That was deep. Why did they do that to Britt? Allow it.
Yeah. This was too much of the.
Do you know what? People might say I'm a madman. If they wanted the Outcast to beat up Britt Baker, should have poured it. Should have bled in that ring. If they wanted to beat her up properly, pour it. Bleed. Not from Chris Jericho, from the Outcast, but Outcast flog her to where Britt Baker's used to bleed, and she can do it again.
Yeah.
Let her bleed in that ring.
It's facts. They've done it before. So yeah, they know how to get that kind of heat if that's what they need. So that was your worst Dynamite segment. Yeah. I'll move on to mine. I'm gonna cheat a bit. and I'm gonna pick the Wardlow and Hobbs stuff because we need to talk about this TNT title picture. Bro, I just don't know. Versus said here in the chat, big up Versi, said, I can't lie, I'm pissed Wardlow got the title back. Hobbs didn't even get a proper reign. Bruv, I don't know. Like you said before we started recording, the minute I saw Arn Anderson, I was like, they're putting the title back on Wardlow, aren't they? Like, then we had the match, the distraction angle, QT with the cutter. My man still kicked out. 2 power bombs. Hobbs was pinned. New TNT champion. And Hobbs just literally fades into obscurity immediately because Christian and Luchasaurus come out. It's just like now we're just forgetting about Hobbs already. Basically, that's what you done right there and then. Like Hobbs just didn't even really get started with that title, with the title run. The TNT Championship in general, it's literally just become like the hot potato title. At this stage, I was thinking this morning because I wanted to make some content around it. I was thinking, what suggestions could I make for this? Like, should they just like slap a what do you call it, a stipulation on it or something like that, and just week to week, open challenge it or something? Because ever since, and it's not to blame Sammy Guevara, but ever since Sammy Guevara beat Cody for it, it's literally just been hot potato around interim champion, unified championships, hot potato. I think Darby had a good run in between there somewhere.
Joe had a good run.
Joe had a good run, of course. I can't forget that. But the large part of it, it's just been absolute nonsense.
We have literally 2. We have Darby, who's I think a 2-time champion. We have 2 3-time champion.
This is my next point. Bruv, like we've been running the company for coming up to 4 years now. This belt wasn't even there from the inception of the company. No. This came like maybe halfway through the first year when Cody won it. Like, why have we got a 3-time champion in Sammy Guevara and no one can remember, the highlights of any of those 3 runs? We've got a 3-time Wardlow one. There's definitely no highlights in there. Like Sammy Guevara, I'll at least give him his kudos. I remember the ladder match he had with Cody. Excellent stuff. Wardlow's held this title 3 times. I don't remember a damn thing he's done in any of these runs. Like,
no, it's bad.
And Powerhouse Hobbs, you were just building him up. And now it's literally, you've lost the title. Come bring in Luchasaurus and Christian. Like, I just don't get what they're doing with this title, man.
Like, my thing is that if you... Luchasaurus and Christian don't need the title. Like, if they want to do Luchasaurus, I feel like, do you know what? If they wanted to do Luchasaurus versus Wardlow as a feud by itself and then have Christian there, I'm for it. 2 big men, calm.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, like, I said this will, and I feel like Tony Khan is very obvious when somebody's going to get a good title reign, because from time this QT TV thing started, I said, this is not it. This is not how you build a dominant champion.
Yeah.
This QT TV stuff was what should have been the reddest of red flags. I said, this ain't going well. He ain't even have, like, he's had title defenses, but he's faced jabronis, respectfully. He's faced people, Will Hobbs has faced people lower on the card, and then Wardlow come. And this is the thing. TK wants to push Wardlow, and he wants to give, but at the same time, not like this. Like, you're literally forcing the title onto him. It's a thing where it's like, it's do you know what it is? It's given 2016 Roman Reigns, where it's like, by force, by hook or by crook, we're gonna put the title on it by force. And it's like, this is the first time I think in AEW we've experienced this, where no, this is under duress. I'm being oppressed with this title run.
Okay, but would you say that for when the same situation was very similar with Sammy Guevara?
Because do you know why? Sammy Guevara, there was a few instances where I heard it. Scorpio Sky's title run was terrible. So it was like anybody just take the title of Scorpio Sky. And then him losing, I think him beating Cody again was kind of okay. Cody's God, give the title. It was very circumstantial. It was like cool. They tried something new in Scorpio Sky, which I was never an advocate for. And then
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The bar is pretty low right now. The bar's in hell. But Scorpio Sky's run with American Top Team was better than anything Wardlow's done with this belt.
Oh, easy. Yeah. But I felt like with Sammy Guevara, it was like cool. He had his first run, which at the time felt like a good idea because he was over before the TNT title, and I feel like he earned his spot as TNT champion. And then he had the feud with Scorpio Sky, and at that point, it was like take the belt off Scorpio Sky at this point. So it's different. Wardlow's first TNT title run, you were for it. I don't the Samoa. I don't even remember how he lost the first title.
I don't recall. It was to Samoa Joe, right?
Samoa Joe. Did he beat Samoa Joe again?
Yeah. To be fair, like we're calling Wardlow. Wardlow hasn't done a lot wrong in all of this. It's just the booking around it. Like he hasn't had a chance to be rubbish or give us like a bad match. Like he has not helped. Definitely reduced his stock. You were talking about TK wanting to push him, right? I'm thinking maybe from another angle. Do you think this is maybe like a ploy to keep Wardlow? Like, look, I'm giving you this, that, and the other, and it could be like seen as a push, so that Wardlow doesn't maybe go elsewhere. I don't know when his contract's up. I know a lot of AEW contracts are up next year, 2024. Do you think this is more like, look, I'm using you sort of thing to keep him?
I guess, but I mean this with all respect. I don't see why you'd have to move mountains like that. Like Wardlow isn't the type of like I thought Wardlow's got a lot of potential, but I feel like that's what he is right now. He's a lot of unrealized potential.
Yeah.
He's not somebody where WWE would look at him and be like, oh, we could potentially use him, but he's not somebody that I would see WWE being like, by all means, you must throw the bank at him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, if he's available, let's see what he could do. So I don't really see the necessity of keeping Wardlow sweet because they've done that on accolade. They've given him accolades. Like he's beaten MJF clean, who's now gone on to become. They've put him in prominent. Well, to be fair, all of that stuff was the MJF storyline, but they put him in prominent storylines. He's been highly favored throughout the company. Like, you know, I think it's clear to see, even without these TNT title reigns, it's like if this was somebody like Ricky Starks, for example, where you kind of need to sweeten him because on paper, Ricky Starks doesn't have those accolades that you look at and be like, oh, he looks at what Wardlow does. So I feel like Tony Khan don't need to do all this. I just feel like Tony Khan has a vision in mind for Wardlow and he's just very gung-ho about it. But the manner in which you're like sometimes strip it back. Like and the problem is the stuff that he's proposing afterwards, like I said, the Christian and Luchasaurus stuff, isn't bad, but that doesn't need the title.
Yeah,
that doesn't need the title. Like it doesn't. It really and you could tell. And I think maybe with Wardlow, the thing that got Wardlow over was kind of the MGF storyline, which is a very personal storyline. Maybe go that route. Yes, they tried it with the whole hair thing with Samoa Joe, but I don't. But tell a personal story with Wardlow and Christian. Maybe Christian comes in as a veteran. I've seen big men like you come and go in this industry. You know, I've wrestled all of these guys, and I've got a guy that's better than you in terms as a big man. And then just tell a simple story like that. Get Wardlow over again, and then build him up again. But right now, you're just shoving him back into the top. Like, no, rebuild.
Yeah. Do you think this, because was it in the Jungle Boy feud last where Christian said that this year he's gonna win gold? Is this for Christian or is it for Luchasaurus? Do you reckon?
It might be for Christian. Feud? It might be for. Do you know what I think? It might be for
Luchasaurus is just the heater, maybe.
Yeah,
just the big man behind him.
It might be for Christian because I could easily see Wardlow losing to Christian again. And I see, obviously, because Christian and Will Hobbs are both heels, a heel versus heel match between those two characters wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I guess you kind of needed to put the title on a babyface first, but I'm so sorry. Will Hobbs? I'm not saying Will Hobbs should have had like a year-long run, but he could have. Will Hobbs can lose the title on a Dynamite, like the TNT. Like he could have at least take him to Double or Nothing, have him defend the title on a pay-per-view, and then maybe 2 weeks after Double or Nothing on one of these Bash at the Beaches or whatever shows.
Yeah.
Have a transitional champion. Have somebody who's a up-and-coming babyface be a transitional champion, and then move on to whoever. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they've exhausted the Jungle Boy feuds. I'm not saying have Jungle Boy beat Will Hobbs, but someone of that ilk beat Will Hobbs, have their moment, and then proceed to be, you know, squashed by Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus and Christian. But you don't need that. My problem is you've done it at the expense of Will Hobbs. Nobody was expecting. Well, the TNT title runs have never been long to begin with. Like they've lasted at most maybe 2-3 pay-per-views at most. Nobody's been TNT champion from like, let's say, Revolution to All Out. That's not the TNT champion.
Yeah.
But give him a pay-per-view. Give him a pay-per-view. One. Just one.
Uno.
Just one. That's it.
The thing, like for me, like Wardlow's losing. Whether we're asking ourselves now, is it Christian or is it Luchasaurus that's actually going to go after it?
He's losing.
Regardless, he's losing. Like even Luchasaurus, they've repackaged Luchasaurus. They've kind of made him look more menacing, changed the green to the red and all that kind of stuff. Like they're not going to literally throw that away, you know, at the first opportunity. I don't think so. Wardlow is the transitional champion. I just don't know.
You know, we've had 4 TNT champions this year alone.
That's garbage. We're only in the 4th month of the year.
I think Darby Allin, Samoa Joe, Will Hobbs, Wardlow. And bearing in mind,
Will Hobbs, Wardlow again, isn't it? Because Wardlow beat Samoa Joe for it, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm just saying 4 different people.
4 different people. Yeah.
Because no, yeah, exactly. But if I analyze reign to reign, it's probably 6-7 different individual reigns because some of these men have held the time. Samoa Joe, I think, became a 2-time TNT champion in the same year.
Correct. Yeah.
In the same year.
I don't know what.
Like, come on. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
my only hope is that if they do this rumored black brand split that they're talking about, then this will become at least a mid-card staple for whichever show. Probably.
I'm terrified about that brand split, by the way.
Really?
I'm terrified. I think that's a terrible idea.
I personally love brand splits, and I trust AEW are going to handle this a million times better than any WWE brand split. So that's where my faith is right now.
Because I always think there's going to be an A and a B show. And
that's true. Yeah.
I feel like one show's gonna get. We've seen how Rampage ain't even got the short end of the stick. It's got no stick at all. But I just feel like one brand is going to get like the short end of the stick. I feel like whatever's deemed the A, Dynamite will be the A show.
The A show,
like,
yeah.
The Dynamite will be whatever that next show is. Will start off the first month. Calm. Oh my god. When things go, and this isn't just because of Rampage, this is wrestling. Like wrestling history has showed me in the past. Yes, you can talk about like the golden years of SmackDown, but that's almost 20 years ago at this point. Like
wrestling history shows that wrestling on the weekend doesn't really, you know, capture the audience like that. It doesn't do well. So that's enough to know that that's definitely going to be the B show.
Yeah, so for me, it's just I'm worried, and the reasoning behind I don't want to get into the Phil Brooks conversation because, but yeah, the reasoning behind the show splitting is even nonsense to me. So, well, rumored reasons because we don't know officially yet, but yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like there's enough time for you to book the TNT Championship with some respect, and the thing is, this year. With Samoa Joe and Darby Allin, I was fine. Because the TNT title and international title are the same thing in terms of what they need to be deemed as good championship runs. They're the workhorse titles. Go out and have banging matches, but Wardlow is not of that. Every person we've rated as a good TNT champion, maybe Miro, because of his character work, has always been an excellent wrestler in ring. The only person where I could say their character work kind of superseded their wrestling was maybe Miro and Cody, but Cody's in-ring work always was up to par. But Miro was like the outlier. But everyone else, if we look at every good TNT championship run, it's been what Orange Cassidy's doing.
Samoa Joe's was at first, and then Samoa Joe's in-ring caught. He lost the ring rust and caught back up.
He caught back up, yeah. So it's kind of a thing of like, yeah, like we know the formula. Don't change it. Like, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Like, we know what we have to do. Put it on somebody who's gonna put on Banga Badizio.
Yeah. I think if they do this brand split and then you have the one champion across the two brands, and then international title is basically like one place's top title, TNT could become the top title of another brand. Tag team on one show, trios on the other, maybe. Yeah, that could maybe work to bring back some level of prestigiousness to this TNT title, because from where it was in its inception with the Codys and Brody Lees, Darby Allin, those amazing runs, then Miro was the last solid run. Samoa Joe's was very good, but Miro's was like perfection,
like the last great one.
Yeah, and
because they went because it was literally like good run, good. Like it was a streak of just like. Right, this like I would say like the TNT belt was the best booked mid-card belt.
Yeah, it was.
In wrestling at one point.
It was
like for a good year and a half. It was the gold standard of mid-card belts. And now it's just like
it's below the international belt, which they just brought in.
And it's crazy because it's weird though. The international belt, I mean, it hasn't fulfilled its purpose of being international, but it's such a I think just Orange Cassidy's run is just sensational. Sensational.
And that's all it is. You put the belt on someone that you can trust to deliver good matches, good segments, and just let them go. Let them go at it. But yeah, I have no idea what they're doing with this. But yeah, I cheated in terms of choosing that. But I said we had to talk about that one.
We had to talk about
it. Right. We're at the end of the show, but just as a little preview for next week, we have Jade Cargill, the TBS champion, going up against Taya Valkyrie next week. Is this the end, in your opinion?
No.
You think
it can't be? It can't be, because if this is how you end Jade Cargill's feud, I'm gonna switch. This feud has been poo. This has been poo. You have to end it properly. I always say this. The ending is one of the most important parts of any raid story. End it properly. Like for me, it's like at this point, if the only ending TK has is Statlander, I will still cook the reign until then, but I will wait for it. Because how many Taya Valkyrie matches has she had on Dynamite?
I don't think she's had any on. I think she's had 3 matches. I think they've all been on Rampage.
So you want to dethrone Jade Cargill on the woman who hasn't even been on Dynamite? If TK has the audacity, he won't, because he can't. Like there's no build. There's no reason for me to be invested in Taya Valkyrie. Like Athena had a better build than her, and Athena's cooking. But I'm just saying, like Athena had a
better build, and Athena lost. Yeah.
And Athena lost. So it's like,
yeah,
who are you? It's who are you? It's like, no, it must continue, and not because I'm particularly enthused by Jade Cargill's reign at this point. I feel like the reign has been served this purpose. Move it on.
Yeah.
But you haven't built anyone, and honestly speaking, even on paper, Taya Valkyrie was never a name that was going to satisfy me. Like either make it a homegrown, somebody that's been like a cornerstone of the women's division for a while, or if you if you wanted to do a random one, give it to Hikaru Shida. She ain't doing much right now. She's somebody that's establishing the company, has got credibility, and be like, oh, Hikaru Shida, former women's champion, beat Jade Cargill. Cool. The feud won't be much. What's my girl doing? The villain's wife. I don't want to say his name.
Mr.
What's her name?
Where is she anyway?
I don't even know. I'm gonna find her. Sorry, guys.
I think just I'll say my piece as you look for it. I think like most people, we're happy, we're ready for Jade to drop the title. It's just if you do it abruptly, ultimately next week, you're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna turn around and be like, not like that. Even though we want it to end and move along, not right here, right now, sort of thing. So, and it should definitely for the
Serena Deep. Serena Deep.
Yeah. That would have been a good person as well. But it's not the time, man. It's definitely not the time. I don't mind it. I don't even mind it being Tyre. Like my picks have always been Statlander first, Willow Nightingale second. That's my 1 and 2 for people that should beat Jay.
That's the one. Because Statlander is like WWE fans wishing for Rock and Roman. It's just I beg, at this point we're tired. So Willow Nightingale, cook that up. Cook it now. Cook it is there. Cook that up.
Tyre for me, I haven't minded just because of who she is, the legacy, everything, the accolades she's got previously. So it would make sense somewhat, but they have to still build her on AEW television. We can't just rely on her. You know, she's been an Impact Knockouts champion, this, that, and the other elsewhere. Like,
no,
but I don't mind it happening. The loss, it's just not next week. It can't be
not next week, man. Impossible. Yeah. I'll lose it. I'll lose my head. Disgusting.
Yeah, well, guys, that is our show. That is Revolution Radio for this week. Let us know in the comments what you enjoyed about the show, your best segment, your worst segment, your match of the night, your MVP. Like we said, it was slim pickings this particular week, but we got there in the end with some of our selections. Make sure you're tuned into everything on the channel. There's a Spike Trivette interview on WRESTHINGS Extra uploaded today. So if you haven't seen that, that's the Progress World Champion. He's defending the championship in a steel cage on Progress on Sunday. Against Cara Noir. So look out for that interview. It's up now. And you should have a WRESTHINGS podcast tomorrow. Indie Takers by Monday. There's a lot more stuff to look out for. So NK, any last bits before we sign off?
Yeah, man. Just keep tuning into Revolution Radio. You know, share, tune in live every Thursday. You know, man. The coolest place to watch AEW reviews, man. Yeah, Revolution Radio.
Big facts. All right, then, guys. We appreciate you guys joining. Hit the like button if you haven't. Subscribe if you're new here, and we'll see you next week.